Friday, I got traveling on my mind. That is, of course, the next line that comes after the title of this video, which I lifted from Lindsay Buckingham, or is it Lindsay? Well, either way, EY, AY, it still sounds like A when I am saying it wrong. Anyway, getting an early start today. Just went from 62 to 58 degrees now. Jeez, what's happening? There's a polar vortex coming. Heading in early. I have an 11 o'clock show to record with Richie Condon. It's part 2 of our Reconstruction series that we began last fall, and we've had to reschedule, I think, 3 or 4 times because either Rich is sick, I'm sick, something else came up, whatever. And so we're finally getting down to it today. So it's part 2 of Reconstruction. I think it's going to be a 4-parter, I think he said. Maybe 5, I don't remember. And then this afternoon, Phil Spoggy's coming in to talk about muskets, and god damn it, I forgot the book that I wanted to bring in. Shit. Well, hopefully Richie and I will end with enough time for me to run back home and get it. And yeah. Oh well. Anyway, how are you? Good morning to you all. Grant says you're a genius. I know. Thank you, Grant. Sandra says, good morning. All one word. Good morning. I say good morning to you. Faye Boggs says, I made it to alive. Good morning. Good morning, Faye. What do you say, Faye? Civil War Regiments, better known as Stephen Lunsford, says good morning and congrats on the Dale Dye interview. Thank you very much. You know what? I have to tell you something. I don't know why, but that interview meant more to me than had I gotten Sam Elliott, Jeff Daniels, and Martin Sheen combined. Because, you know, actors, their job is to act, and they do it well, and they play a character. And sure, they bring creativity to the whole thing, and they're part of the process and all that stuff. But the unsung heroes of a movie are the behind-the-scenes people. Of course, we always hear about the directors, but, you know, it's guys like Dale Dye that have made some of the probably the 2 most impactful war movies / series in my life, to me. The way they are. And I was talking about this with Eric yesterday, you know, during the interview. Dale, you know, I was kind of kissing his ass, not like falsely, like I genuinely mean everything I said. And he kind of demurred, and he was like, well, you know, Steven Spielberg has a lot to do with that. And I said, yeah, he hired you, but you made it. Like, you, that's all you. The rest of it's all you. Like, that realism that we get from the combat and from the actors, just the way they carry themselves and behave and speak and all that other stuff, that's all him. And that's unique, and that's thank God. I don't know if you all know his story. Well, we'll get to it in the show when it comes out. I'm aiming for tomorrow. By the way, those of you who have given me advice on multicam, I kind of played around with it yesterday while starting to edit the Dale Dye interview. I don't need it because we have the cuts already, you know, recorded, but I just kind of played around with it, and yes, that is so much easier. And for those of you who watch my editing videos, I'll show you the difference when I get to the July 3rd episode. I'm kind of toying with the idea of starting July 2nd all over again, but that's such a pain in the ass. I don't want to. I'll just keep on going the way I'm doing it, the old-fashioned way, and then we'll do July 3rd anew. Let's see here. Bill Simpson, good morning from Sarasota. Good morning to you, Bill. Grant says the Dale Dye interview was good. Matt kept his cool and didn't fanboy interview for. I don't know why, I was so happy to have him and have that interview. And that's, again, all to the good nature of our friend Eric Dorr. You know, Eric, I've known Eric since 2011. And he was just kind of getting started with the museum, sort of. I think he was a couple years in. I don't remember how long he had it at that point. I was trying to get established. You know, I had moved back to Jersey at that point, and I was trying to get started in video production. And so he hired me to do like a sizzle reel for this show idea that he had. And you know, when I look at it now, I'm like, oh my God, if only I knew what I didn't know back then about shooting and editing. But that's the way it goes. So I hope I never know everything there's to know, because then I'll stop learning and growing. But and I certainly don't know anything really today. I know a little bit more than I did then. But anyway, so we've known each other a long time. And when I started doing Address in Gettysburg, we reconnected. And a couple years into it, he said to me, and I was very flattered when he said this. Like, he offered the studio space. You know, he said, listen, I'm buying this building. It's not going to be ready for another year because I have tenants in it. But when they're gone, I'd like to give you studio space. And I said, oh, well, sure. Like, but how much do you want? And he goes, I just want you to promote my museum. And I was like, geez, okay. I said, why would you do that? You know, like, why are you offering to do that, you know, just for promotion? And he goes, you know, man, I've known you a long time now, and you're consistent. Like, you've always been trying to chip away at this stuff. And he goes, I don't know, I just think you're onto something that's going to be bigger, and I want to help you out on the ground floor. And I was like, oh, geez, no pressure for me to make this bigger now, right? And so, and I said to him, I go, well, okay, I'll take it. I accept it. Thank you. And, you know, one thing that could help is when you encounter these famous people, if it's apropos or even if it's not, throw them my way for an interview. And it'll be sponsored by the Address or the Gettysburg Museum of History. And, like, you know, everything else, the show opens with that. And when he has been able to, he has come through on that. And this one was by far my favorite, absolute favorite. Faye says, I say, you rock. That interview is awesome. Noticed you weren't in one of the pics on Facebook and thought, what the fuck? Oh, you mean where everybody else? Yeah, I'm kind of squeezed out of that crowd now, so I don't know what happened, but it has not sat well with me. Jeff Pasnick says, good morning, up and Adam on a glorious day. It is glorious. Look at the sun glowing in the shot there. Whoops. Meant to hit this. Faye says, started rewatching Band of Brothers last night. Thoughts on that one? It's my favorite. Private Ryan and Band of Brothers, to me, are the best World War II movies. There's other good ones, but those are the best. And those are the ones that, since Private Ryan came out, that one raised the bar for all war movies. And if you're gonna do it, you gotta meet or beat the level that Private Ryan was at. But you know, it's the combination. Like, Steven Spielberg has a way of using everything at his disposal. I'll give you, so one of the things we briefly touched on in the interview was how Dale Dye called it the 90-degree shutter angle, and you could also call it like a high shutter speed or something like that. And what it does is it gives it that strobe light feel, that look. And he also removed protective coating from the lenses so that you would get light leaks and streaks of light coming across the shot. And I had heard somewhere before that was an attempt to make it look like old World War II footage. And but also, as Dale Dye pointed out, the high shutter speed is so that when when a explosion goes off in your soldiers, you see every rock, almost every grain of sand that's flying through the air, and just to give you an idea that it's not this cloud of dust like movies have always shown it, or dust and smoke. It's everything. And just because a shell goes off next to you doesn't mean the only thing that can kill you is going to be a piece of shrapnel from that shell. And I think that's the point he's trying to get across, is there's shit flying at these guys from every direction. To me, and again, I say this about Civil War battles too, it's a wonder that anybody walked out. When we were talking about the Iron Brigade the other day, and the 24th Michigan and 26th North Carolina are some 20 paces apart. My question is, how do you miss? You're shooting at a mass of bodies. How do you miss? How is anybody left standing? But there's a lot of answers to that question. That's a very inexperienced civilian question to ask. How do you miss? So yeah, I love Band of Brothers. To answer your question, Faye, I think Band of Brothers. I liked it better than the Pacific. It's funny because I like Private Ryan better than the Thin Red Line, although they're both good. Thin Red Line and the Pacific are both good, but both of them, there was too much of the home front, or too much taking me away from the battle. What I like about Private Ryan was that, it was combat all the way through. Band of Brothers, pretty much combat all the way through, or just their experiences and with combat in there. There weren't love stories. There wasn't, this introspective voiceover where, just played over, various shots that are just really pretty or whatever. I like that. I do like the Thin Red Line. It's a good movie. But for heart-pounding action, which, when I want to watch a war movie, I want my heart to be beating out of my chest. Private Ryan and Band of Brothers take the cake. And All Quiet on the Western Front, the remake. Good morning, Russell. Grant says, Eric Dorr does a lot of good things for history fans. Yes, he does. Elijah Young, did you guys ever get shirtless and wrestle in oil? We were going to, but then we ran out of time. Grant says, I hear that's a New Jersey custom, Elijah. It is. That's actually how you indicate to everyone watching that you are friends with this person for life. That is our ritual there. Civil War Regiment says, I think that we need to campaign for the first American Pope to make the first ever papal visit to Gettysburg. That would be interesting. Is it papal or papal? I always forget. I think it's papal. Yeah, no, just walk across the whole road and then look at me like I'm weird because I go off to the right. Are you going to do the shutter speed thing, add handheld style, and desaturate color while editing Dale Dye interview? It would be fitting. I so I did do the desaturation and kind of played with the tone. So yes, the shutter speed I can't do because that's already done, unless there's a way in post to do that, which I'm not aware of. I'm sure there's a way to simulate it. Good morning, Dustin. Decimated sent $5. Says thank you, sir. He says this subtopic of hit percentages and ranges of Civil War paddles is always fascinating to me, where most men shooting high in the panic of the moment. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So how did they miss, in other words? Another downside of the Pacific, he says, was that Europe is simply more interesting to look at. Oh, thank you. That was the second point I wanted to bring up. I don't the Pacific battles, yeah, there's no, it's such a stupid, superficial thing for me to say, but there's no beauty. There's no majesty. There's beauty because the Pacific is beautiful, but like there's no interest to the landscape. I guess that's also kind of part of it. Also, the Japanese, man, the way they fought, that's why I can't watch Vietnam movies either. The way they fought too creeps me the frig out. Like it doesn't seem to be bound by any rules. And there's a scene in Son of the Morning Star where Custer is chasing a band of probably Sioux or Cheyenne, and at one point they split into three groups, and he and his men stop, and Custer gets out his carbine and he tries to take a pot shot and can't, and then he gets frustrated and he says, "Give me an enemy that fights by the rules." Which I always thought was a weird thing and a weird mindset, but I think that's what bothers me about wars in the Pacific, is like it's a different mindset, it's a different culture, and I don't understand it. It kind of freaks me out. Like I put myself in the shoes of the character or characters in a movie or show who I identify with somehow because they're similar to me in character or whatever. So there's one person in that platoon, let's say, that we're following who I'm going to identify with because he's closest to the way I am. And now I'm putting myself in the shoes of all these guys, and when they go through all that stuff, yeah, it's not like the Germans were pretty fricked up too. I'm not saying they were these perfect angels by all means, or by any means. I understand level of devilishness, like, mindset. So that's what I can't wrap my head around it. But anyway, the thing about shooting high, yeah, I would imagine it's shooting high. I've also read, and I forget where I got this idea. I can't remember if it was an account from a soldier or if it was some historian speculating. But I thought I also remember somewhere that, there were some guys who were just so sick of killing that they purposely fired, high or low because they didn't want to hit anybody anymore. Like they didn't want to do it anymore. After the fervor of what brings you into the war wears off and you realize it's just an ugly, miserable slaughter, you get, some guys might get sick of it and they're repulsed by it. But they're still there and they have to participate, so they might shoot high. I also, there's so many factors. I think there's no wrong answer for that. I don't think there's one answer for that. I think it's myriad answers, and every one of them is just as right as the next one. It's a chaotic situation, and even a modern day combat veteran has never been in a Civil War battle, and so it's like none of us really understand a Civil War battle. How insane it is. It's insane. Yeah, that's such a great point, though, that you made there, Decimated, about how it looks better on film for the European wars. And we can relate to them. Most Americans don't live on an island with palm trees and sand and all that. But most Americans do live in farming communities with small towns and villages. So, and it's also, we come from Europe, so we understand that better. It looks better. But you're right, like it just looks cooler. I think that's why the Gettysburg battlefield is cooler to look at than, say, Little Bighorn. Because what's at Little Bighorn? But in Gettysburg, we have barns, we have houses. There are structures on the land that tell a story. The only structures on the land that I'm aware of, I haven't been to Little Bighorn, but I watch a lot of videos and see a lot of pictures of it, and I kind of look at it on Google Earth, is the visitor center and the markers marking where soldiers fell. Those tell stories, but not as deep and rich a story as a barn and a farmhouse and fences and lanes. Yeah, that's such a great point, Desmond. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Grant, best part about the Pacific is that it features yours truly in a great performance. Get out of here, Grant. You were an extra in the Pacific? Were you, oh my God, were you the lady that they strapped the bomb to and then sent into the U.S. lines? I thought that, I gotta go back, but I think that is you. With, carrying the kids, and then they realized she had a bomb on her. Ugh. See, that's what I'm talking about. That shit. Ugh. So when you see a village captured back by the Americans, you feel as if they rescued the village. In the Pacific, as you're watching on a screen, they look like a sandy knoll, or they took a sandy knoll with some palm trees. Yeah, exactly. And for what? To go on to the next sandy knoll. and that's not to downplay what, I mean, in any way, we're talking cinematically, European battles look better and are more interesting. But I wouldn't want to be in either one of those theaters. The book On Killing by David Grossman provides a study indicating that most of the casualties are produced by a small percentage of soldiers. I would believe that. And I'd hope that to be true. God, you just made my brain twist a little bit there thinking about that. I don't know why, but I think because I just wondered if I ever had been in combat, would I have been the guy that's trying to kill with every shot, or am I the guy that's just firing to make noise and hoping I don't kill anyone? Because you think about it, war, it's your excuse to kill, right? But then you go, well, wait, if war's your excuse to kill and you're taking advantage of it, what kind of sick puppy are you that you've just been waiting for an excuse to kill? So that's not good. It's interesting. Oh, God. See, no wonder, it's like literally hurting my brain right now to think about that. Or I'm having a stroke. But it just came on suddenly. Good thing I'm going into town at 25 miles an hour, not on the highway at 70. Because if it is a stroke, I'm going to have a problem. I'm pretty sure it's not a stroke. Let's see if I can read. If I can read, it's not a stroke. Russell says, movie with actor Andrew Garfield as Medal of Honor winner, last name oh God. Wait, is that what he wrote, or am I having a stroke? That's not making sense. What? Driving Me Nuts, can't remember movie title, very good movie. Oh, I see okay, gotcha. And Hacksaw Ridge. So Grant, were you in the Pacific? Moan and Barbara? Because, I was in John Adams. Maybe when you come to Gettysburg, we can have a sip of whiskey and talk about our experiences as extras. All right, it's early yet. I don't have all the time in the world because I need to write something before Richie comes in. But we do have a couple of minutes where I can take you to a little place that you might have heard of called Culp's Hill. Oh, don't thank me, Russell. Grant and Babber got that for you. But you're welcome. Good morning, 62nd. How are you? We're all very excited. I'm sure you are too, at the return of AG Today on Thursday. We've got God. See, I need to get better at compiling things that happened since the last show, because more time will be there, and a lot of stuff can happen in a month. So I'll have to do that for next time. Be a little better at that next time. But I do have a moment. A moment. I'll show you. It's me trying to squeeze my belly behind Dale Dye, and I'm trying to get past his chair, which is also very close to a bookshelf that juts out from the wall, and it's very tight in that studio. And so I say to him, if you could scooch in for a moment, please. But he doesn't hear me, and I don't want to, I don't want to badger him. And so I just kind of stand there for a minute, like, I don't know what to do. And then finally, I like crouch down in this awkward position, like trying to Tetris myself around all these angles and things that are in my way, fearing that I don't trip and fall. And, it's just, and I didn't. But yeah, that was that. And it will be a little bit different in the sense that I'm shooting an intro with Eric at the museum where he introduces the interview. And the interview, when we get to the interview, it's going to already be in progress. Well, it's not already going to be in progress. It's going to be from the moment we sat down and started talking. And now, typically when we come in and do a show, we sit down, we start talking, we warm up. I'm looking to loosen them up. And I'm also looking to see what we're going to talk about, like what angle, where can I connect with this person? And but very quickly I realized, A, this guy's 80 years old. B, he's been running around all weekend being pulled this way and that. He's got to be tired. It's 6:30 in the evening, so it's like the day's almost over, and I'm sure he wants to go to bed, So I'm talking to him, and I'm trying to just kind of establish a rapport with him before we start. And then I realized, you know what? Once we start, it's not going to be the same. He's going to be in interview mode, although he was in interview mode, but it'll be different. It'll be different. And I don't want that. I want it to be real. So I sent Cindy a text, who was in the other room, and I said, go live. So if you watch it on Patreon right now, you join it in progress. But when you see it come out on Wednesday, you will see that when we start, I don't have my headphones on. I don't even have the microphone pulled down in front of me. So when you hear me talking to him, I'm off mic, and he is on mic. And then that's when I realized, shit, you know what? I've got him going. Let's just go. We're already recording. Let's just go. And so we just went. And so there's no Sam Elliott introducing the show or anything like that. It's just, it'll join already in progress. Basically what you get to see is the pre-interview, which is just going to end up being the interview. And I just thought that was cool. It was really good. And of course, he paid me the highest compliment, which I've been paid before by people in the biz, as they say. But for some reason, I think because he's a Marine captain and he can kick my ass even at 80 years old, for some reason, this carried a little more weight than when Tom Berenger or Bo or Patrick Gorman or any of these other people have said it. Because just merely on the ass-kicking factor. It just carries more weight. And so I'm actually debating whether or not to start the video with that compliment, just so that it's right there, because everybody will watch at least 30 seconds of it. Grant says, I was in the pub scene in Melbourne. You can see my back and my arm, basically. My emotional Emmy Award-winning performance was cut for time. Well, that's great. That's great, Grant. 60-second is looking forward to AG Today this week. I am too. I miss doing it. I like doing it. It's fun doing it. I still think it's more detrimental than helpful to the overall cause, but I have fun with it, and you know, that's what I'm doing, having fun with it. There's a podcast I follow. They have like 3 different shows that they do, and each one of them is different. And one of them, I forget what they call it, but it's basically AG Today, a little less trying to be like a morning drive radio show, just a bunch of people talking about culture and things that are going on in the culture. So there's some fun and frivolity there, but it's not all serious. Morning, Tim. Decimated said, LOL, a stroke. You got a stout sense of humor, man. Well, I'm a stout kind of guy. Used to not be a stout kind of guy. I preferred lighter beers, but as I get older, and you know, microbreweries do a lot of interesting things with stouts, with a lot of different beers, but I learned to enjoy stouts from microbreweries. So thank you. Fourscore actually was the one where I was like, you know what? I like stouts. And I'm not ashamed to say it. And you know, I'll tell you something. I'd rather drink a stout than be one of those people that pretends to like IPAs simply because they want to bother people like me who think IPAs taste like the way a new carpet smells. They're disgusting, they're bitter, they're nasty. Nobody in their right mind actually likes an IPA. They force themselves to do it so that they can feel cool because they're different. Let us be honest with ourselves. You IPA drinkers out there, you know that there is a seed of truth to what I'm saying in your psyche. In your psyche, there is a bit of you that likes the fact that your friends didn't like IPAs. They just say, oh, all my friends like IPAs. Yes, because they gave in to the pressure. But I'm saying going back 15, 20 years, and suddenly all we're hearing, IPA. Those people back then, you were the outliers. And then people were like, well, I want to be cool too, like Joe. Okay, well, Joe likes IPA, so I'm going to drink it. And then you drink it and you're like, oh, that's gross. But I want to be cool, so I'm going to choke it down until I get used to it. Let's say it's an acquired taste, like scotch. Except it isn't. Scotch, yes, it is an acquired taste, but it's delicious. There's notes of all different things in there. Peat. There's notes of other things. IPA, it's just notes of fresh, brand new carpet. And it smells nice to walk into a room with a new carpet, but I don't want to drink that smell. Thank you. I don't know how the F I got on an IPA rant, but I did. Yes, Decimated. We were extras. Yeah, we'll be doing a panel on what it was like to be extras in 2 HBO miniseries. I was an extra in John Adams. We shot down in, what's that? Williamsburg, Williamsburg, Virginia, Colonial Williamsburg. I played a soldier in the militia. And the scene was Washington's camp at Cambridge in December 75. John Adams went to visit and saw the horrific condition they were in and the decimated numbers, and pledged the support of the Congress. And then he had to go back to Congress and get them to support it. And I know where I am in that one. I think you probably see more of Grant in his scene because Grant, a pub is a small space. We were in an encampment, and I'm in the establishing shot of the scene, which was shot from a crane. And I know where I am because I know where I had to stand for every take. But if I pointed it out to you, you would not believe me. Or you might go, okay, well, I can't verify this one way or the other because you're literally smaller than an eraser head on the screen. So more like probably the size of a pencil point, a sharpened pencil point, and not the whole piece of exposed graphite, but just the point. And, it's unimpressive. But, somewhere I have pictures from that day. They gave me a wig. I had long hair again. They stained and rotted our teeth, put dirt on our faces and our uniforms. And we spent all day, literally all day, in hair and makeup. And then they sent us over to the set, and we spent about an hour waiting to see if they needed us after they put dirt on our uniforms. And then it was lunchtime. We broke for lunch. We ate. And then after lunch, we went back to the set, and then they finally needed us. And that was cool. I got to get in there. And what was funny was that I was living here at the time, so I had already had plenty of exposure to reenactors. But this one was where I kind of started to go, okay, I'm not sure what I think about reenactors anymore. And here's what I mean. And many of you reenactors know exactly what I'm talking about here. So I've told this story before, so it's nothing new or exciting. So, you're on a movie set, okay? And this isn't some independent film, right, where the director just wants to make a Civil War movie, and he knows enough about the Civil War, but he doesn't know anything really substantial about the Civil War, so he looks to reenactors as his historical advisors. And then, of course, they overdo it and abuse it and try to get everything they want in there. And then when the movie comes out, it just looks like hey, let's look at all the things that the reenactors bought for their kit type of a movie. Anyway, so this is a Tom Hanks production, This is a big deal. So I am sitting there waiting, wondering, when will it be our time, oh Lord? And I noticed these guys. Now, you have to understand, everybody there is dressed in tans, browns, some blacks, muted, other muted colors, some blues, but basically earth tones, okay? And there's this one guy in a bright yellow, not, what do you call it? Like satin almost. It probably was, it had a satiny finish to it with like paisley design in it. Coat. Really opulent fucking thing. And I noticed it was him and two of his buddies, and his buddies are wearing, earth tones. And this peacock's there with his yellow coat on. And the assistant director, we're setting up the shot. The assistant director is sent over by the director to talk to this group. And she said, now look, so like, she comes over and she says, we need you to go to wardrobe and get another coat. And he, instead of saying, okay, and then going to wardrobe, he stands there. She starts walking away, and he goes, why? This is period correct. And she turns around and she goes, we have a certain color scheme that we're going for, and you stand out. We need you to be in an earth tone. So please go back to wardrobe and get something that would work. But I don't understand. This is what they would have worn. They would have worn whatever they had. And if I were a man from the upper class, I would have had a blah, 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 blah. And she goes, you can either go to wardrobe or thank you very much. You can go to the, you'll get your check in the mail or whatever the hell it was. So basically, do what I say or get the fuck out of here. So she walked away, and he stood there like a child, and his two buddies are there looking at him, all embarrassed. And finally, he turned around and walked back to wardrobe and came back with a brown, or I don't remember what color coat it was, but he came back. He complied. I remember at the end, though, when we were wrapping for the day, he and his two buddies, some people, man, I don't have the words to explain the douche chillery that this man had around him. And his two buddies are there, they're packing their stuff up and getting ready to leave. And as they start to walk away, he stands there and he goes, 3 cheers for Mr. Hanks and hip hip hooray. And then he like lifts his hat and everything. And they just kept on walking. And that's when I was kind of like, all right, so obviously this hobby attracts all kinds, and that's the kind that drives me nuts the most. Like, I get it, dude, but you're on a movie. It's not a reenactment. This isn't a living history day. This is a movie. And unfortunately, most people get their history from movies, so you should try to be more accurate. But a film, it's different. It's a film. It needs to congeal. And you wearing bright yellow on a drab winter's day when everybody else is wearing blacks and browns and muted colors is stupid. All right, let's see. Decimated says, I was once neighbors with a father and son, and they were plugged into the local movie and commercial industry and were always appearing as extras. Well, sure, man. If I could, I'd put myself in everything. Hello, Melissa. The Law says, I love them. LOL. IPAs. Okay, 60 Seconds says, IPAs are gross. Yeah, I know, 60 Second. Thank you. Kevin says, some IPAs are very good. You're being too diplomatic, Kevin. Just come to the dark side with me and admit that they suck. Zach says, top of the morning, mate. The Law says, it's like going from white wine when you were young and graduating to red wine. Yeah, that's funny because I don't like white now, but I like red. Actually, when I was younger, I really didn't like wine, but if I did, I'd like the whites better. Too hoppy give me a stout any day. Damn right. Grant says, IPAs are the little ground top of beers. You shut your mouth. Decimated says, Dale's Die. Wow, interviewed that great man. I did. It's coming out on YouTube, hopefully Wednesday night, somewhere around 7 o'clock. Melissa says, I would rather have a Pilsner Lager or dark like Guinness. Yeah, see, there you go. I like this. Used to be people would either be, oh, IPAs are great, or no one would say anything. Or they'd be diplomatic like Kevin and say, well, some are good. No, they're all bad. They're all bad. And now I'm starting to see there's a pushback against the IPA community. People are starting to say they're gross. I like that. Zach says, I like IPAs. I'd get Old Milwaukee when I didn't want my roommates to drink my brew back in the day. Well, that's a strategic reason for liking an IPA. I don't know if that's quite the same. I wouldn't condemn you as much as I would the others. The lovers, if you will. The lovers, the IPA lovers. Why is this so annoying to... Okay, there we go. Thank you. Russell says, wasn't going to have a beer today, but thirsty now. Thanks. You're welcome. Matthew Gillespie says, good to hear from you. Thank you, Matthew, for the $5. He said, good to hear from you, Matt. I hope this covers your morning coffee. It will. Thank you, sir. Zach says, it looks like you're driving on the sidewalk. I always do. Grant says, how old were you when John Adams was made? 35? 2006, I wasn't even 30 yet, you little shit. So, yeah, okay. I was, 28? No, is that right? 2006. Yeah, I guess I would have been 28. Well, no, I was about to turn 28. I was still 27. Matthew Gillespie says, I was an extra in Andersonville and Guns N' Generals. There you go. Wyatt says, haha, hey-o. Good morning from Temecula. Hello, good morning. Decimated says, difference are made by all these small-time people with clever names, and I think people just want to be known for that. I don't know what you're referring to there, but I agree. Wyatt says, I'm late to the conversation. What movie was this? I have no idea where you came in. Phil says, snarky Matt this morning. Yes, I am a little full of snark today. I'm in a good mood. And I'm not afraid to be snarky. Tom says, a fancy lad. He was a fancy lad. You're talking about the guy in the yellow, I'm assuming. Melissa says, my sister was at Ohio State University. One of her classmates was in Gettysburg, and he was in Armistead's injury scene, and he is with C. Thomas Howell. That's cool. Okay, Melissa answered. John Adams, good. John B says, all kinds. I mumble that to myself all the time. Yeah, it's true. Jenny Cream Ale ruled. Oh, that's good. I like that. Yep. And Kevin says, I have tasted good IPAs. All right, Kevin. Well, next time you come to town, let's go out for a beer. And if one of those good IPAs is around, I'll buy one and I'll try one, and with all honesty and an open heart and an open mind and open taste buds. And we'll see. We'll see. All right. I have to get coffee, then get a jump start on my day, and all that. It was great talking with you guys this morning. That's about it. It was great talking with you. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for the super chats, all that's, and that's it. Oh, but don't forget, I got ahead of myself, and I spent a little time last night. Instead of relaxing, I stayed up, and I scheduled the next 2 live Ask a Guides on YouTube. Do me a favor, go to our YouTube channel, find them, and just click the notify me button. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if you click the notify me button? I would be forever in your debt, and I will talk to you later. Oh, patrons, first lieutenants, you'll have 2 shows today to watch being recorded. I hope you enjoy. All right, y'all. Talk to you later.